Thank you, Mark. Good evening. Dr. Roxie Hentz has over 25 years of experience in the education field, including service as a state education consultant, culturally responsive teacher leader, district-wide teacher mentor, university teacher in residence, adjunct professor, and classroom teacher. Currently, she is the founding executive director of CEOs of Tomorrow, Incorporated, an organization offering interdisciplinary and experiential social entrepreneurship education to educators and youth. She is also the author of It's My Business, Inspiring Students' Ideas for a Better Community, a fully developed curriculum, resource aligned to academic and entrepreneurship educational standards that arms educators with engaging social entrepreneurship lesson plans. Additionally, Dr. Hentz works as an independent consultant for the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, where her focus is placed on the new federal education law, Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA. She facilitates, and facilitates very well, the State Superintendent's Equity and ESSA Stakeholder Council meetings, a group made up of educational leaders, civil rights advocates, policymakers, and leaders in higher education who focus on equity in education and guide the development of Wisconsin's plan for implementing this new act. As a result of outcomes as a nonprofit leader of multiple organizations and her tremendous impact in education, Dr. Hentz has won numerous awards for her work. These include the Fulbright Distinguished Teacher Award, Wisconsin's Economic Teacher of the Year, Jammin 98.3 Black History Maker Award, and Cardinal Stritch's very own Sister Cleavon Graduate Student of the Year Award for service, achievement, and leadership. Dr. Hentz has earned her bachelor's degree in education, her master's degree in business administration, and her doctorate in leadership for the advancement of learning and service, the doctorate and the MBA, right here at Cardinal Stritch University. I want to introduce to some of you and reintroduce to others my friend and great colleague, Dr. Roxie Hentz.
So we have a video, a little bit more of an introduction.
These kids have dreams. Well, that's the stuff of youth, right? But what if we could teach them to build on their passions and their interests, to dream big and realize those dreams, while helping other people too? And what if at the same time we could harness that enthusiasm to motivate them to learn all kinds of skills, including what they're supposed to learn at school? We can. Infusing social entrepreneurship into education can have these kinds of results. Have you heard of social entrepreneurship? It's what you call it when someone who identifies a social problem, it could be any social problem, creates and manages a business that helps address that problem. In other words, you figure out a strategy for making a profit and giving back to your community at the same time. So why is it so powerful in education? For two reasons. In the short term, it's motivating for kids. Almost every young person would look forward to learning ways to help others and earn money at the same time. Plus, when educators and youth leaders effectively integrate a social enterprise into their instruction, it can incorporate all kinds of other academic learning. Suddenly, the world out there is very close. In the long term, social entrepreneurship helps kids learn a huge range of skills that will help them live a good life: budgeting, responsibility, leadership and collaboration, communication, critical thinking, problem solving, how to dream big and then realize the dream. And in an even bigger picture, students learn empathy and compassion, so they're not only making their own lives better, but they're helping society as a whole. This is the win-win-win situation that CEOs of Tomorrow was built to foster. We've helped kids of a range of ages do exactly this, actually run their own businesses to help themselves and others. And we know what a difference it makes. At our heart is a fully developed social entrepreneurship curriculum. Our founder is a licensed educator with numerous accomplishments and over 25 years of success. We're all about helping as many kids as possible experience the benefits of social entrepreneurship. We teach kids directly, and we share our methods with youth leaders, educators, and those who educate educators. Take a look around our website to start learning powerful ways to help kids tap the power of their passions and their dreams, and to make positive change happen for us all. We are here to help you bring social entrepreneurship into education.
So, I'm Paul.
I feel like a ballerina.
That's right. Me too. So, welcome back. Welcome back home. Welcome into our living room. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
So I'm going to share the mic, but maybe you could just start talking a little bit. It's a fascinating career path and hard to sum up briefly, but maybe you could just give a little bit of some of your path that you've taken.
First, I have to say it is a pleasure to be here today. I'm so excited to be here back at home. Cargo Stretch has been pivotal in my life, and especially in my professional journey. So thanks for sharing this space and place with me. I'll just share just a little bit. I've spent 25 years, as Frida said, in education. And you know, it's interesting, I started out in business at Marquette, and although I did well, it wasn't what I wanted to do. And people told me, you know, you're smart. Don't choose teaching, because with teaching comes a salary that's less, and you may not be as successful. And I'm glad I listened to my inner voice. And I encourage all to follow your heart, your passion, and your dreams, and things will result in a career that really means something to you. For me, that path has been education. It has been a thread through everything that I've done. And I'll just share a couple highlights, if that's okay. Behind me is like the trajectory of what I've done, including some of the things that Frida has shared with you. But some pivotal moments. I started teaching at age 22 at Lee Elementary School in the heart of the inner city of Milwaukee. Loved it. I even said, wow, people will pay me for this. But in any case, it was very instrumental, because I learned then that if you give kids relevant rigor, they will succeed. So at 25, while still working for Milwaukee Public Schools, I opened my first nonprofit organization. And that was huge as well, Mark, because what that did was taught me that when you inspire kids, when you connect with them, they will soar. So I did both at the same time. And I'll share a little bit of that later in other questions. And then the last pivotal moment in my life in 2011, as Frida shared also, I won the Fulbright Distinguished Teacher Award. And what that meant for me was an opportunity to teach in Durban, South Africa at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. And it was there where I was inspired to really merge my two passions, education and business, and to use those both together to impact the lives of kids. So here I sit today.
And so part of that path that Dr. Russell mentioned earlier was the MBA and the PhD that you did here at Stretch. Can you talk a little bit? A lot of these folks are in that one of those programs or others about how that shaped the path.
Absolutely. Now I'm a teacher, and I definitely don't need this mic, but I'll just hold it and keep talking. But in any case, absolutely. The MBA was pivotal. I actually started my nonprofit organization 4 years before I started the MBA. And once I graduated, I realized that there was a strong connection between education and business. And that was because of this MBA program here. My students in my classroom, as a classroom teacher, started writing grants. I incorporated business into my middle school classrooms, where they would run and operate businesses that impacted the community, where they would write grants, kids secure money for different ventures. But in addition to that, in my nonprofit that I was running at the same time, I had 8-year-olds writing grants through Greater Milwaukee Foundation and securing funds for service projects. 14-year-olds who worked at Educators Credit Union here on Appleton. Some of you may have gone in one of the branches and saw a 10-year-old, well, 11, 12, behind the counter as a teller, for an example, and also running their business inside of Educators Credit Union. So what the MBA did was allow me to really let that business soar. As for the PhD, that was the first degree that I had that was for me. Not for my career, not for my future, but for me. And what that did was to really encourage me to think deeply and critically about what I wanted to do, both professionally and personally. It grounded me. It was the first time where I used content and curriculum and applied everything that I was learning to what I was doing in my professional and personal career. So it really helped me in a great deal.
And then throughout, there's been the thread, right? So this is the Mission-Driven Leader series, and you have talked about the thread and the passion throughout. How would you describe your mission and the driving force?
Actually, ironically, my mission was actually inspired and encouraged and shaped, actually, during the doctoral program. I'll start with my personal one. In the last semester of the doctoral program, we were encouraged to really shape self. And at that time, I was running a nonprofit full-time, working on my PhD full-time, working for Milwaukee Public Schools full-time, and being a parent and in a relationship full-time. And one of the things that happened was the reshaping of my personal mission. And that is to live a balanced but full life, but balanced. Making sure that I nurture my physical, spiritual, academic, social, and emotional well-being. Where before it was really focused on how can I just serve. But it's more than that. I have to take care of self in order to really help others. So that happened here. As far as my professional mission, I'm driven to ensure that I use my God-given talents to improve and impact the world, more specifically kids. And so I've used that to drive me, that money, success, notoriety is not important, at least for my journey. It really lies in how do I use my talents that I've been given, that I've been blessed with, to make an impact on the lives of others and hopefully make an impact on the world.
That's tough to follow. That's pretty amazing. And mixed in there is something we talk a lot about, and you've, I think, educated about how decisions are guided by values. And so it's brought your mission, but of course that's made up in part from your values. So could you talk a little bit about how you feel like decision-making and actions have been driven by your values?
Sure. I've been here all day. It's been a nice day, by the way, and I've spoken with lots of groups. And I'm reminded of something that I said in another session earlier today. My mother was born in 1928. In fact, I have a cousin in the audience who I just saw. My mom was born in 1928 in Mississippi, and my dad was born in 1920 in Mississippi. So imagine what that looks like. My father had an 8th grade education. My mother had an associate's degree. I'm the youngest of 7, and I do have to say I love that position. I love being a baby. But in any case, the values come there, grounded in people who know that regardless of your academic advancement, that you can make it and you can be successful. And they've instilled those values in me. So I have to say my parents. And then, of course, they also instilled a strong spiritual foundation that has really guided the values that I actually interpret. So for me professionally, as I walk through and venture through my professional and personal life, I try not to veer too far away or far away from those values. And I've integrated those values into what I do. Integrity, honesty, perseverance, hard work, dedication, and appreciation for the gifts that I have.
And those who are going through, I know there's a lot of MBA students in the room and some doc students and alums, that's really fits in. You recognize all that stuff, I think, in some of the programming that you're doing. So fast forward into the impact in professional life today. So the last question or two, and then we're going to do an activity. And CEOs of tomorrow. So how did that background, that mission lead you to what you're doing today?
You'll notice that on the screen above, I've lived 2 parallel lives until CEOs of Tomorrow. On the bottom is all the things that I've done in the education, K-12 education, and have done that since I was 22. And then on the top is how I've nurtured my business desires. But I've led those 2 parallel lives. And it was actually 2.5 years ago, I moved to Madison, Wisconsin, and started working for the Department of Public Instruction. And it was the first time in my professional career that I realized that I don't love what I'm doing. In the 25 years that I've really anchored myself in ensuring that what I do is purposeful and meaningful to me and those that I'm serving. Not that the work that I did wasn't important, but I couldn't see the impact as readily as I could at that point. And also, I also realized while there that I was utilizing what I would consider 10% of my gifts and talents. It was too narrow. I wanted to be able to have a direct impact and utilize all my talents, as I've said before. It's grounded in that mission. So here I made another pivotal decision. 2.5 years of working with the state, I had made the decision to, although I still do some consulting for the Department of Public Instruction, I left DPI and opened CEOs of Tomorrow full time. And for the first time, I've had the opportunity to marry both education and business and put it under one umbrella. So as you saw in the video, CEOs of Tomorrow actually utilizes the excitement I have about teaching, and in a minute you'll see it because I get to teach a mini lesson. The excitement I have about teaching and the love I have for business. And I brought those 2 things together. So CEOs of Tomorrow allows me to teach same concepts and curriculum outcomes that you would with any other curriculum, but armed with business skills that teaches kids how to open and launch opportunities that impact the community in ways that are important to them.
So that we have to use that as a segue to teach.
Yay.
So we're interacting.
Okay. Well, I'm going to actually step down, if that's okay. Now, the activity that I'll share with you, keep in mind this is a very abbreviated version of an hour lesson that we're going to do in 15 minutes. With that said, though, Dr. Russell mentioned I've written a book called It's My Business, Inspiring Students' Ideas for a Better Community, and you all have received raffle tickets today, and I'll be giving this away to the lucky winner. I do have more copies here for others if you like. It's also on Amazon if you're interested in purchasing it. But I'm going to pick a lesson that's in this book that I also utilize with the students that I work with. So you'll see it's for kids as young as 4th grade, so keep that in mind as you're doing it. But you'll also realize that it's relevant to them, and they actually guide and direct this particular activity. So with that said, on your table is a sheet that looks like this. It says social problems. There should be one on every table. Raise your hand if you don't have one on your table. Thanks. While he's passing those out, I just want to share just really briefly. CEOs of Tomorrow has established a partnership with Cardinal Stritch, and through its priority learning assessment, our high school students that successfully complete our high school course earns 3 college credits. So not only do they learn business and entrepreneurship at a level that's pretty rigorous, also apply that learning to a social issue or a social problem that they're concerned with, but they also have a pathway to college. So we're pretty excited about that partnership. So, first step, you need someone at your table to be the writer or the scribe. So decide who that'll be. That person, raise your hand.
I think you just volunteered.
All right, looks like we have scribes at all the tables. This is going to be your task as a table. Now for kids, we will be racing around this room, but I promise you don't have to get up. This is called Race for Change. And the first step, and don't start yet, I'll give directions first. As a table, you're gonna get 30 seconds to come up with as many social problems that you can think of as a group. You're gonna yell them out, well, not too loudly, don't give your answers to the other groups, but tell your scribe what those social problems are. You'll have 30 seconds. Now we've all heard the Jeopardy music, right? You'll hear it in a moment. When it stops, that means stop. Hold your pen up, you'll have 30 seconds, all right? So once you start hearing the music, you're gonna generate as many social issues that you can think of. Ready? All right, scribes, pens up in the air. It reminds me of that cooking show where the time ends and they have to throw their hands up. I want you to count how many social issues you generated in 30 seconds. All right? And you're going to raise your hand. If you have 5 or more at your table, raise your hand. 8 or more? 9. 10. All right. How many after that? 12. Can you all randomly just shout? Now for kids, they have little timers and it's a lot of fun. Can you yell out some of the social issues?
Of course. I started for it.
Which one? Can you name some of the social issues that you wrote on your papers?
Poverty.
Poverty, lack of opportunity, stratification, prejudice, inequality, hunger, homelessness, the list goes on. The kids, even as young as 4th grade, come up with the same social problems. I'm going to give you another 30 seconds. Your task this time, as a group, identify one, the one that bugs you most, as a group. Before you decide, though, before you get started, for the kids, we give bug stickers. And they walk around and put their bug stickers on the social issues that are written around the room. It's pretty interesting to see. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You'll hear the music again. Once you hear it, deliberate. Remember, you're picking one social issue. So each of you should have one social issue. I'm going to start at this table. We're going to do this quickly. If you can yell out your social issue. Discrimination. Stratification.
Injustice.
Injustice.
Broken political system.
Broken political systems.
Poverty.
Poverty. Healthcare. Racism. Lack of opportunity. Poverty.
Inequality.
Inequality.
Homelessness.
Homelessness.
Education.
Education. Here's where the magic happens. Now, again, this is a 15-minute version of something that takes a lot longer. You're going to generate a business idea to address one of these issues, but before you do, individually on your strips of paper, so at your table, there's either a blue or a green piece of paper that looks similar to this. So if you each can take one at your table, you're going to think about something that you're good at or you're skilled at. So if you had to pick something that you would do and not get paid for it, you'd even get up early in the morning like mine would be fishing. I don't even need sleep to fish. What's your passion or skill? You're going to pick one thing and write it on the sheet of paper. Once you write it, I want you to fold it, hold it up in the air, and Dr. Russell or Dr. Mark? Okay. or Mark will come around and pick them up, okay? So one thing that you feel passionate about or you feel you're really good at, all right? Go ahead. All right, our last step. So one of the things we teach the kids is a formula for change. And how can we use the formula to help us generate ideas for a business? And in the book, and also in all the courses, they learn about young people as young as 8 who have opened social enterprises or businesses that address social issues. And they exist right now. So what we do is teach them to think about their problem, and sometimes it's a cause. For you, it'll be the one that you circled at your table. So that will be your problem you'll focus on. And then we ask them to wrap it with a passion or a skill. So in a moment, I'm going to pull one out of the bag. And we're going to use that passion or skill, all of us, to think about a business that links to your specific problem at the table. So together, using those two things, kids begin to brainstorm business ideas. So, I'm going to ask, what's your name? Ted? Ted, you're the lucky person today. So think about your problem. It's at your table. You've shared it as a group. And then the skill or passion is? I'm not sure. That's okay. It's still a good one. Keep trying one more time. Teaching. All right. Think about your problem. The skill is teaching. How can you blend both of those to create a business? Now, you're going to do this as a group. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, although kids get more. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and I want you to think of a business idea, and it has to generate revenue. Okay? 2 minutes. Teaching, your love for teaching, and whatever your problem happens to be. 2 minutes. All right, perfect. If I can bring you back and your attention back to the front. I know there are some amazing social venture ideas percolating in this room. Who'd like to share theirs? I see people pointing to people at their table. All right? You! No, you don't have to. It's very non-threatening. I even get to place my arm next to you to encourage you.
Ours is gratification, and I've taken several courses in small business development and nonprofit business management. And the one thing that I know that is key when it comes to developing a business is your strategy. The who, what, where, and why of your business, and then learning how to target your key audience, and then also developing and putting on paper what your thoughts are about the business is very important. And you have to be able to articulate yourself to potential investors and why you want to get involved in that certain business in order for you to not only generate revenue, but to help others get on board with your vision and then carry it to the next level.
Thank you. And that took a lot of bravery there to go first. Well done. Any other business idea? All right, come on right there.
A tutoring center for teaching kids.
A tutoring center for teaching kids. Yeah. A tutoring center for teaching kids, wonderful. All right, one more.
Good evening. Ours was focused on health, and so we want to do instruction on maintaining preventive maintenance for the body. So we would like to teach on proper foods to eat, training for exercising, nutritional values, watch the content of what you take, so that you can be healthy. And so we came up with the name, he said, Healthy Home Habits. So our business will be entitled Triple H.
kids would do. So they say something like dancing. So I'll give you 2 minutes. Dancing and your social issue problem that you have focused on at your table.
And then you wore the credit set. Like
All right, realizing that you're probably not finished, but we have a short period of time. Does anyone like to share their thought, their business idea, or what started to be a conversation around a business idea? Just one. We have time for.
They made you do it though.
Peer pressure.
Okay, so you said dancing, and I
And
told
what's your problem?
education, and he said a tutoring center. So I thought of Akila and the B and how she couldn't spell a word, and he gave her a rhythm. I said, well, when it comes to something like that, teach a child like a rhythm or a move to a certain word to spell or a certain thing, you know, just to give a move, because you know, you could put that together, you get that rhyme, and they get them beats and that thing, you know, they get the pop, pop, and
And tell us how you can turn that into a business.
turn it into a business. Learning with moves, how about that?
Learning to move. All right. Thank you. That's just a short picture, but again, when working with kids, it's a full curriculum that we go through, but just wanted to give you a taste of making it fun and engaging students in a way that's meaningful for them.
Thank you. So, thanks, that was fun. Some of the stuff you do, so thanks for sharing that with us, and I just want to open it up for questions now. I started with some, and based on this activity, anything about Dr. Hentz's career, or, well, you know, whatever it might be. Great.
What's the most difficult part about transition?
Career-wise?
Yeah. What was the most difficult part?
The question was, what was the most difficult part of transitioning for me? Quite frankly, I'm an optimist, and I also feel that God kind of taps me on my shoulder, tells me what to do, the door opens, and I just go through it. So I don't see a lot of challenge, but I do want to say what was most challenging for me probably was transitioning from DPI, which was full benefits, salary, and so forth, to CEOs of Tomorrow, where I independently nurture, care for, and take care of my business, both financially and personally. And that's been an exciting transition. I was fortunate to have funds for startup, and I also run a consulting business that also supports that work, and also to have family at home that supports my transition. So I would say that was, I don't know if I'd say it was hard. I think as a business person, it's risk. And you do that with anything that you want to accomplish. So I think that would be the closest to answering your question.
Would folks just maybe just say their name, which program or connection they have that might be helpful?
Hi, my name is Alicia, and I'm in the bachelor program for business management. And I had a question. You mentioned spirituality was a strong foundation for you. My question would be, did you struggle with fear in deciding if you were really going to go ahead with the transition, and then how did you overcome that?
My friends and family would say that I'm a different breed, perhaps. I believe when you have faith, fear takes a back seat. So I have never had fear. I've accomplished what I've accomplished because I feel like that's the direction I'm supposed to go. I get confirmation along the way. I don't sit and wait for it. I do it. I teach my kids when the door closes, go through the window. But there is no no. So I live by that philosophy too, that whatever I want to accomplish, I just do it. And when you know that when you lead your life and your profession based on what's important rather than material things or other things that guide you, you'll experience success. I do have to say, a long time ago when people were saying you won't be able to be financially equipped if you go into teaching. I bought my first house when I was 22. I've owned 3. This year I went to Australia, last year I went to Barcelona, I went to Paris the year before that. I've experienced lots of things. When you follow your passion, when you anchor it in what you know that God has placed you or what you know you're here to do, everything else will work out. We all know people who are stressed at work every day, who wish when they were in their academic programs that they steered them towards something that was meaningful to their lives, that builds a rich, happy life. So fear didn't exist because I wasn't following a path that someone else told me to follow. I followed the path that was created for me.
I can project.
Go for it.
I'm a teacher as well, and so oftentimes I have not been as money motivated. Is that a problem? And for those of us who are not, who don't necessarily see the dollar signs all the time, it's so important to see them to a certain extent so that we can mobilize our communities and that we can support our communities, because I have big vision for my community. However, I can't do that without the money. And so should we, what do you suggest for those of us who are not as motivated by the dollar signs?
I do want to say money is necessary and don't want to suggest that in absence of it, you still are successful, particularly when you need dollars in order to realize your mission. What I am saying is when that becomes a priority, then it's difficult for the other things to be accomplished. What I would suggest for your question, and just I want to make sure that I articulate it correctly, you're asking how do you stay motivated with money not being the primary resource, or can you restate the question just so I'm sure I'm answering what you're asking?
For those, like for example, when we did our project, my initial thought was the children. My group said, how can you make money doing that? My brain doesn't go there, yet I've got this big vision. So, is it that we need more of a collaborative process where those who are more motivated are connected with those who have the money or who have the vision, what have you? Is it a collaborative process that we need to be working together, or is it that I myself need to be thinking dollar signs? Am I on an island, or can we work together?
No. I think I absolutely do. If we're addressing any huge social issue, that can never be done alone, nor should it be. But I do want to say, in reference to that, it's about being strategic too. Although I said a door opens, I go through it, but it's strategic planning that happens, where you're considering all aspects, including where revenue is going to come from. So for an example, with CEOs of Tomorrow, before launching it, I ensured that I had the revenue base set up. In addition to I wrote my dissertation on funding youth-serving organizations that serve the community, particularly nonprofit. So I had that advantage. But when I opened my nonprofit organization, way back in the day, when I was 25, not that long ago, by the way. But when I opened the nonprofit organization, I didn't have the luxury of leaving my position. So I was able to do that while still affecting change. So it's about thinking strategically. Each one of us is an individual, and with that comes a set of strategies that may be different for one person than another. But I would suggest that you keep your livelihood so that you can address the issues that you like to do. But don't lose sight of your vision, right? If it means surrounding yourself by people who have the resources, if it means networking, if it means I've done a lot of public speaking, the passion that I have for whatever it is that I'm doing often comes with people asking how they can support me financially as well. So it means getting out there, making your voice heard, letting people see and know your passion, and using that as a tool for generating awareness so that you can surround yourself by not just financial resources, but any other resource you find lacking that you need in order to implement your plan.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Sure, go check.
My name is Keisha, I'm in the master's program at this point. My question is about CEOs of tomorrow. I know the focus is for social issues in regards to building a business kind of around that. Do you work with children that have started businesses but necessarily don't have a social issue to, I guess, correlate it with kind of thing?
I actually started the entrepreneurship aspect of my business without social entrepreneurship. And kids, I met kids who had businesses. There are kids in my book who I've actually met. They're not just kids in the book, they're kids that I've met. What I realized though is anyone, almost anyone, can learn business skills, right? But if I can empower a kid, a young person, early on, to use business to impact their community, the Race for Change that you all did, it's amazing to see the social issues that these kids are seeing every day. They're watching us, and they're also watching the world, and some things are happening directly to them. Oftentimes, they have no vehicle in which to do anything about it. And I personally feel, although I think entrepreneurship in and of itself is a valuable resource, I really have made a conscious decision to focus solely on social entrepreneurship because I want to arm kids with something more than just opening a business. I want them to know that they can impact and be change agents in their community. And they can do that right now. They don't have to wait to be an adult. They don't have to practice it in their classrooms. Many high schools that offer entrepreneurship, the kids it's all in theory. They get an opportunity to see the theory, but also to apply it and to make change in their communities. Yes?
I'm Jennifer, I'm in the MBA program, and I'm interested to hear about your work with the DPI and wondering, as you talk about your business and social entrepreneurship, the age range that you're immersing children in terms of concepts, when you take that back to the work at DPI, was there any discussion in regard to like early childhood education, Race to the Top, some of those federal funds and accessing some of that, some of those places to immerse or expose children at a very young age?
Mm-hmm. The question is, as I worked at DPI, were there opportunities or places where I can interject social entrepreneurship into the fabric of the state education organization? While I was there, I focused on closing the racial achievement gap, promoting excellence for all, working with the lowest achieving schools in the district. But there is a department in DPI that focuses on entrepreneurship. And there are entrepreneurship standards in Wisconsin's curriculum. Because reading, math, and the other core areas take a front seat, and oftentimes people have challenges understood in integrating business and entrepreneurship, although from our Dr. Tony Evers, our state superintendent, has urged people to integrate social entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship into their curriculum. It's a challenge when people don't have a background in business. So there are opportunities. While there, I created a program that teaches teachers how to integrate entrepreneurship in the curriculum and trains them so that they can take it back to their classrooms. There's also funding. So those of you who are interested in adopting entrepreneurship education and integrating it into your curriculum, there are funds to do that and lots of programs to support it. NIFTY, National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship, their closest chapter is in Chicago, but they actually train teachers as well. And then I, through 2 universities, teach social entrepreneurship to teachers for grad credit to integrate social entrepreneurship education. So resources are there, both financially as well as to guide teachers in how to do it.
There's time just for one more question.
My question comes from when you were saying, like, you realized at a point that you were only using about 10% of your talent.
younger than now. And I'm 20.
How, along the way, what were your biggest resources in learning your skill and learning how that would match with your passion and really identifying, the areas there, because it's all a journey. And, I think it's a journey, but how do you identify?
I think mine came early on when I was at Marquette, and for 2.5 years I was in business. Ironically, I did get an MBA, but then it had a purpose. But I was in business back then, and I was volunteering at schools and trying to get a kid fix because I couldn't get it in my curriculum. So I felt it internally that this wasn't it. We know our skills and talents, right? We know that what we're good at, and we know what we enjoy. It's just a matter of taking that leap. Really quickly, on my way here, I was talking to one of my friends. I'm actually meeting her later today. But I was talking to one of my friends. She's in business, very unhappy in her position, has a very professional position. And she constantly talks to me about what she wants to really do, right? How she can actually implement her passion. But she hasn't done it. And I think a lot of times, especially as adults, we have more fear. That's why it's important if we can tap into kids at an early age, show them their potential, link them with their skills and talents. We can help break that barrier of growing up feeling like we have to do what's handed to us rather than what we're passionate about. I would suggest, as you're going through your professional journey, to evaluate things that you're doing. See if it's really making an impact for you. If you're one that you feel you want to or need to make an impact beyond just yourself and it impact the community, to ask yourself that question, do I feel it? And that's what I did at Department of Public Instruction. Although that work was very important, I'm a strong advocate for closing the racial achievement gap and still do work in that area. I still knew that it didn't, for the first time in my professional career, that I wasn't tapping into all of the resources that I personally have. So with you, again, the talents that you have and the skills you have, use those to help guide your journey. And when it's not feeling right, question that, reflect, and make decisions as to what you need to do in order to perhaps shift gears maybe a little.
Great. So I'm going to try one other quick question, because this is focused on mission-driven leaders, and you talk a lot about mission, but if I ever met someone who also matches that mission with a vision, it's Roxie Hentz. And so, can you talk a little bit, the mission is part of the path, and often we talk about the vision as being that impact and that point. How would you describe that for you?
I envision a world where all people, and of course I'm going to focus on kids because that happens to be my heart and passion, where kids are armed with the skills and talents they need and the encouragement, support, and recognition by adults to really open their minds and hearts to a place where they can do something beyond what we expect. Lots of times we dumb down or lower what we give kids, and I envision a world where kids are making a difference, where they are changing lives, they're changing communities, and they're really using their skills and talents to change the world. And that's what I see, and I know they can do it.
Thank you. For you over here. So thanks for everyone who helped out tonight. Thank you all for being here, and I think you get to end with a prize. So.
Thank you for the gift, but I do have to say you're the gift today. I really appreciate your time, your focus, and it's been a pleasure being home again, so thank you.